You are sitting in a vast assembly, listening to the Buddha teach. Thousands of disciples surround you, all eager to hear the profound wisdom being shared. Suddenly, without warning, the earth begins to tremble. From deep beneath the ground, something magnificent starts to emerge. It rises slowly, majestically, until a towering structure of incredible beauty stands before you. This is no ordinary building. It stretches impossibly high into the sky, adorned with 7 kinds of precious treasures that sparkle and gleam in the light. This breathtaking scene unfolds in the Lotus Sutra, one of Buddhism's most important teachings. The treasure tower that emerges from the earth is not just a beautiful story detail. It represents something profound about the nature of life itself, something that touches every person who has ever lived or will live. As the astonished crowd stares at this magnificent tower, something even more amazing happens. A voice speaks from within the structure, praising Shakyamuni Buddha and confirming the truth of his teaching. The voice belongs to a Buddha, called Many Treasures, who lived countless ages ago in the distant past. Shakyamuni explains that this incredible tower appears wherever the Lotus Sutra is being taught, anywhere in the universe. Then comes the most remarkable moment of all. Shakyamuni opens the tower and steps inside, taking a seat beside Many Treasures Buddha. The entire assembly, along with the tower, is lifted up into the air, where even more wondrous events take place in what the sutra calls the ceremony in the air. What does all this symbolism mean? Why would such an elaborate and mystical scene be included in this sacred teaching? The answer lies in understanding what the treasure tower truly represents, the incredible Buddha nature that exists within every single person's life. Throughout history, many people have thought of the Buddha as someone far removed from ordinary human experience. They imagined enlightenment as something so lofty and perfect that regular people could never hope to achieve it. The Buddha seemed like a distant ideal, beautiful but unreachable, like a star too far away to touch. But the treasure tower tells a completely different story. It reveals that the world of Buddhahood is not separate from our daily lives. Instead, it exists right within us, waiting to be discovered and brought forth. The Japanese monk Nichiren, who lived in the 13th century, understood this profound truth and built his entire teaching around it. Nichiren saw the treasure tower as a symbol of the ultimate reality itself, which he called Myoho Renge Kyo. This phrase contains the essence of the Lotus Sutra's teaching about the fundamental law that governs all life and the universe. Just as the treasure tower appeared from the earth when conditions were right, our Buddha nature emerges when we create the proper conditions through our practice and understanding. The Buddha Many Treasures, seated inside the tower, represents the eternal aspect of enlightenment, the timeless, unchanging Buddha nature that has always existed. This sublime reality doesn't age or die. It simply is, like the deepest truth of existence itself. On the other hand, Shakyamuni Buddha represents enlightenment as it appears in the real world, active, compassionate, and engaged with the struggles and joys of human life. When Shakyamuni enters the tower and sits beside Many Treasures, something beautiful is revealed. These two aspects of Buddhahood, the eternal and the active, are actually one and the same. The perfect, unchanging truth and the compassionate Buddha who teaches and helps others are not different things. They are two sides of the same reality. This understanding changes everything about how we see ourselves and our potential. In a letter to one of his followers, Nichiren wrote, "No treasure tower exists other than the figures of the men and women who embrace the Lotus Sutra." Think about what this means. The magnificent, jewel-encrusted tower that amazed all those disciples represents nothing other than you and me, ordinary people, who seek to understand and live by the Lotus Sutra's teachings. This doesn't mean we are already perfect or that we don't need to make any effort. Rather, it means that all the qualities and attributes of the Buddha already exist within our lives, like seeds waiting for the right conditions to sprout and grow. The Lotus Sutra serves as the sunlight and water that help these seeds of enlightenment flourish. Consider what the 7 treasures decorating the tower actually represent. Nichiren explained that they symbolize specific virtues: hearing the correct teaching, believing it, keeping the precepts, engaging in meditation, practicing assiduously, renouncing attachments, and reflecting on oneself. Notice something important about this list. These are not the qualities of someone who has already achieved perfection. Instead, they are the characteristics of someone who is actively striving, learning, and growing. This is one of the most encouraging aspects of the Treasure Tower's teaching. You don't have to be perfect to possess Buddha nature. You don't have to have all the answers or never make mistakes. The 7 treasures represent the very process of seeking, questioning, practicing, and improving yourself. Every time you listen to wisdom with an open heart, every time you have faith despite your doubts, every time you reflect honestly on your actions, you are polishing these treasures and allowing your inherent Buddha nature to shine more brightly. The practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo serves as the key that opens the treasure tower within our lives. When Nichiren established this practice, he created a way for anyone, regardless of their background or education, to access the profound wisdom of the Lotus Sutra. The act of chanting these sacred words creates a bridge between our everyday reality and the sublime world of enlightenment. Think of it this way. Imagine you have a magnificent palace inside your heart, but the door has been locked for so long that you've forgotten it exists. Chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is like finding the key and opening that door. Suddenly you remember the incredible treasure that has been there all along. The palace was never empty. It was filled with wisdom, compassion, courage, and joy. These qualities were always part of you, but they needed to be awakened and brought into your daily life. To support this practice, Nichiren created the Gohonzon, a mandala written in Chinese characters that depicts the ceremony in the air from the Lotus Sutra. This sacred scroll serves as a mirror, reflecting back to us our own Buddha nature. When we chant before the Gohonzon, we are essentially having a conversation with the highest aspect of our own lives, encouraging it to emerge and take action in the world. The Treasure Tower also teaches us something vital about how we should view other people. If everyone possesses this incredible Buddha nature, then every person we meet is, in essence, a walking treasure tower. The person sitting next to you on the bus, your difficult coworker, the family member who drives you crazy, the stranger asking for help on the street, all of them carry this same precious potential within their lives. The emergence of the Treasure Tower also shows us that enlightenment is not a one-time event that happens and then disappears. The sutra tells us that this magnificent tower appears wherever the Lotus Sutra is being taught. This means that every time we engage with these teachings, whether through study, chanting, or applying Buddhist principles in our daily lives, we create the conditions for our Buddha nature to manifest. This is profoundly hopeful news. It means that no matter how many times we may feel lost or discouraged, no matter how often we might forget our inherent dignity and potential, the treasure tower can always emerge again. Our Buddha nature is not fragile or temporary. It is as enduring as many treasures Buddha himself. The symbolism of the tower rising from the earth is also significant. Earth represents the solid foundation of our daily reality, our jobs, relationships, struggles, and joys. The treasure tower doesn't appear in some distant heaven or in a meditation retreat far from the world. It emerges right from the ground of our ordinary experience. This tells us that enlightenment is not an escape from life, but a transformation of how we live it. When we understand that our daily activities can become the soil from which our Buddha nature emerges, everything changes. Cooking dinner becomes an opportunity to nourish others with care and attention. Working at our jobs becomes a chance to contribute something valuable to society. Even dealing with challenges becomes a way to develop patience, wisdom, and strength. The ceremony in the air, where the treasure tower and the entire assembly are lifted up into space, represents this transformed perspective on life. We're still the same people with the same circumstances, but we see everything from a higher vantage point. Problems that once seemed overwhelming now appear manageable. People we once found difficult to love now reveal their Buddha nature to our awakened eyes. This elevated view doesn't mean we become detached or indifferent to the world's problems. Instead, like Shakyamuni Buddha, we become more engaged, more compassionate, and more effective in our efforts to help others. We realize that the best way to honor the treasure tower within our own lives is to help others discover theirs as well. The voice that speaks from within the tower, praising the Buddha's teaching and testifying to its truth, represents the inner wisdom that begins to speak more clearly as we develop our Buddha nature. We start to trust our own judgment more. We become better at distinguishing between what truly matters and what is merely superficial. We develop what Buddhists call the wisdom to perceive the true entity of all phenomena, the ability to see through surface appearances to the deeper reality underneath. This inner voice doesn't speak in mystical riddles or ancient languages. It speaks in the practical wisdom of daily life. It's the voice that reminds you to be patient when you're frustrated, to be generous when you're tempted to be selfish, to have hope when everything seems dark. It's the voice that knows you are capable of more than you think, that sees your potential even when you can't see it yourself. Understanding the treasure tower ultimately comes down to faith. Not blind belief, but what Nichiren called faith that manifests itself in understanding. This is the recognition that despite all evidence to the contrary, despite your mistakes and limitations, despite the chaos and confusion of the world, there is something magnificent and indestructible at the core of your being. This faith becomes the foundation for what Buddhism calls human revolution, the ongoing process of revealing more and more of your Buddha nature in your daily life. Each day becomes an opportunity to polish one of the 7 treasures, to open the tower door a little wider, to let more of your inherent wisdom and compassion shine forth. The treasure tower stands as eternal proof that you are not just a small, insignificant person struggling through a difficult world. You are a Buddha in the making, a treasure tower waiting to emerge, a ceremony in the air ready to begin. This is the ultimate teaching of Myoho Renge Kyo, not that you might someday become enlightened if you're lucky, but that enlightenment is your birthright, your true nature, your most authentic self waiting to be revealed. When you chant Myoho Renge Kyo with this understanding, you are not asking for something from outside yourself. You are calling forth what has always been within you, awakening the treasure tower of your own Buddha nature, and joining the eternal ceremony where all Buddhas throughout time and space celebrate the infinite dignity and potential of every human life.